Hello and welcome to the latest business chat with me, Glenys Chatterley from EBN. As you probably know, that's Effective Business Network. Today, I've got the fabulous Niven Ramalingum. How did I do with the surname?
Perfect. I'm
Yay, I've
surprised.
been
Yeah,
practicing for about a week and a half. And he's from Homestead, and you probably have seen the adverts. And I know Niven covers sort of Southend in Essex area, and that's in the UK in case you're watching this some foreign parts. And what we're going to do today is just talk about business and things, and let's see where the conversation goes. So Niven, tell us a little bit about what you do at Homestead.
Okay, well, we support older people effectively to stay in their own homes for longer, keep them independent. We kind of do that by matching our kind of clients, or try and find out a little bit about them so we can match them with one of our caregivers to build a kind of long-term relationship. Kind of that's the kind of whole idea behind the service, is companionship based. So the kind of idea behind that is that it's if we know our client and we can kind of build a relationship with them, then if they're having the kind of odd down days, or they're not feeling great, then hopefully our caregivers can pick up on that before they turn into an issue.
Fantastic. So basically people stay in their own home and are cared for in their own home on a basis that they decide on. So it could be occasional visits, it could be daily, it could be longer days. It depends on what they want. Is that right?
Absolutely. So it's completely bespoke to that particular client. So we try and find out what we do is we have a kind of consultation process initially, and we try and find out what the client is trying to achieve from our service effectively, and the client effectively writes their own care plan, and then we can go away and see if we can deliver that.
And is there an input? Is it possible for them to be input by, say, family members who might have an opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. We try and always involve family members within the consultation process, but it's entirely up to the client. So yeah. It's whatever the client kind of wants to achieve out of it. But more than likely, generally speaking, I say daughters normally are involved in the process.
Yeah. Okay, I can understand that happening. Yes. So one of the things I'm always interested in is why people do what they do instead of something else. So why do you do this? Where did you come from to get to doing this?
Oh, well, originally my background is actually in the car industry. So I kind of started out on the shop floor as an apprentice, and kind of worked my way through the industry. After I had my first child, had a bit of reflection on life, and kind of thought, this is probably the time to kind of get involved, or have a bit of a career change. And if I didn't do it now, I probably never would. Yeah. So looked at specific kind of industries, most of them car related initially, even looked at chicken shops, to be honest with you, and kind of looked across the spectrum. But home care or care was the one that resonated with both of us. My wife is also involved in the business, and my mum was a carer, my dad was a carer for his parents, and when we looked across our family and friends even, caring was kind of there all the way through. So we looked at the sector. We felt that we could make an impact. Change the face of aging is one of the things that Homestead want to do, and this stuck with us. So 10 years later, we're kind of still here, and it still gives us that same warm fuzzy feeling, if you like, compared to what I used to do before in my corporate world.
Yeah, I think that must be important. It's that thing about giving back, as well as feeling comfortable in your business, that you're doing something worthwhile to somebody, and it don't really matter what that is, but in the caring industry it's even more evident and also more worthwhile, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, we wanted to do it in a specific way, and if it didn't, we wouldn't do it. If we couldn't do it that way, I should say, then we wouldn't have done it at all. So we're really happy to be making a change.
So if somebody was looking to use your company, your kind, or even your kind of company, what would you say would be the 3 things they have to think about? I'm thinking of having some care in the home, and it won't be too long, I'm sure. What questions might I ask? So,
Well, it's kind of similar to a kind of school. If you're looking for a school for maybe your kids, that kind of thing. The care industry is regulated by the CQC, which is the Care Quality Commission. So that's normally a good place to start. They would generally have inspected most care services and kind of give them a rating similar to what you'd get at a school. So that's probably a good place to start. I would definitely speak to a couple of providers. So once you kind of got through that phase, make sure you speak to a couple of providers, because it is a feeling kind of thing, and having someone come into your home is very personal to everyone. So it's great having to look now. You can shop online and obviously look at all these different things, but it's great to actually meet with someone and get a real feel for them from that point of view. And also, recommendations, I would say. Recommendations are a great thing. Obviously, networking, you'll find out through networking about different kind of providers or different services. So that's always a good one. But word of mouth certainly still is a great tool for finding these things.
We've only got my beloved's mum left, if you like, and she's in a full-time nursing home. She needs more care. She lived on her own and progressively had more support as it went through. And I knew that we'd got the right one when we visited, and as we were sort of let in, because you don't just have the doors open, the person who let us in said, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And I said, "Oh, I bet you've got better things to do than make me a cup of tea." And he said, "Would Nuala make you a cup of tea when you came to her home?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "This is her home. Would you like a cup of tea?" I said, "Yes, please." And they had biscuits as well, which is one of the things that she really, really loves. She's never happier than when she's got a biscuit in her hand or in her mouth, or one in her mouth and one in her hand. And one in both hands, actually. I've seen her do that as well, and put a couple in her pocket for later in case there's a shortage. So you've been in business then for yourself for 10 years, did you say?
Yep.
What
Well, just coming up to 10 years now. Yeah.
Okay, so will there be cake? I need to ask if they're up to 10 years of the anniversary.
Hopefully.
Excellent, I'll be there, even if I'm not invited. So what would you say if somebody asks you whether they should set up their own business, and this is a franchise, I think that you're part of that, into what would you sort of top 3 things would you say of getting into business?
I would say one of the most important things is don't lose sight of your values or why you started this in the first place. I think quite often what happens when you start in business, or what can happen, is you forget why you did it in the first place, and I think that's what drives you on, especially through the dark times, which unfortunately there are quite often some of those. So get your core values set in and lock them in, so to speak. Make sure you have a plan. I mean, obviously, kind of everyone says this, but make sure you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you've got no direction, and obviously things don't always go to plan. So at least you've got some kind of structure or fallback. Be self-critical. I quite often have a look at myself and think, well, I'm not that great at this, or I could do with learning that, or what have you. But there's such a wealth of knowledge out there. So seek external. Don't be scared, I should say, to seek external help. And again, networking can support that. It gives you a great platform, with free help as well as paid help. But it just, the conversation, or having external conversations, collaboration, if you want to put it that way, is really important. Don't stick in your silos, which again I think a lot of businesses do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Certainly, with all three, I would say they're excellent ones, and I think people do lose sight of what they are. I think we all maybe start with a plan, and you don't have to stick to the plan as long as you know you're not sticking to the plan. That's okay, because I think one of the things in business is you sort of wander off the plan to new adventures and opportunities, and sometimes you end up going, "Why am I here when I should have been there?" And you can go back. Or sometimes you go, "Oh, I like being here better than I like being there, so let's do this instead." I think the other one, being self-critical, I think, I sometimes say to someone, "Oh, I just gave myself a good talking to." It's like when people say, "Oh, I don't like to talk about my business. I don't like to like, our meetings, as that people do presentations, and people have said to me, "I don't really like doing that." Get over yourself. You're a business person. If we were sat like this, you could talk for 10 minutes with me, and you're just in a room with a few other people who all want you to succeed and want to help you. So, it's I think one of the things that I'm told that we are particularly good at is developing people's confidence, because we don't have huge groups, and also it's a very business focused but relaxed, and I think that's what people get from it. But you're right, sometimes you just need to give yourself a talking to, you know um, and it's about the thing about, you're not that, don't be precious about it, just get on with what you're doing, and think, I'm in a business, I have to do this. So let me ask you then, you do a lot of work, you've made reference to wife and child, and I know there are more than, so tell me a little bit about what you do outside of the working day.
Well, for families is obviously is massive. I've got a seven-year-old son, and also 11-year-old daughter. So family is massive. But I mean, what we do as a family actually is we all study martial arts. So specifically Wing Chun, which was developed by or was developed by a guy or a lady, I should say, many hundreds of years ago, but probably more known to people recently because Bruce Lee used to study it. And it's something I used to do when I was a lot younger and gave it up, unfortunately, but started back up again. Must have been about 5 or 6 years ago now. And now my wife has just recently started, and also my kids have been training for a couple of years now as well. So we all kind of study it. But it wasn't so much, or has become much more apparent in this last 12 months with regards to the pandemic. So obviously we study it for self-defense, but the kind of the traditional art of martial arts has a lot of roots in kind of stability and mindset and how you carry yourself, and it's really helped me during this last 12 months, as well as historically as well. So that's probably what we spend most of our time doing, I guess.
Yeah,
outside of the business.
I think, I think you have to have something that is nothing to do with the business, that is something you go to and do. I mean, everybody who knows me knows I do a lot of exercise. And I just find that it clears my mind,
Yeah.
in the way I used to years ago. If I needed something to think something through, I'd go for a drive. And apparently that's natural. Your brain engages automatically with what you're doing, but there's another bit that becomes available, if you like, and that's what exercise does for me. But I do think people need to self-care,
Yeah.
that businesses are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and if you own a business, you're never not working, because you can be, I don't know, lying on a beach, and suddenly you'll have that bright idea and think, "Ooh, I'll just make a note of that." You might not do anything with it, but you're always mulling things over, aren't you, when you're in business? So do
Yeah.
you go and do it, or is it something you do in the home, or how does it work?
Well, pre-pandemic, yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, during the pandemic as well, we did train. Obviously, we can't kind of hit each other, if you want to put it that way,
No.
or kind of be physical. But we have been carrying on via Zoom.
Yeah.
So the club that I belong to have been kind of delivering the kind of training via Zoom as best they can during this period. But we're very shortly going back to the club. So going back to what you were saying before about switching off, you know, you quite often try and do things and try and switch off, like read a book, but you still got this thing in the back of your head.
Yeah.
When you're in training and someone's got a fist kind of, you know, coming towards your face, if you don't switch off and try and defend that, then you're in trouble. So you're kind of, you're forced to do what you got to do, you know. So you quite quickly, if you miss it once, you probably, you know, you quite quickly pick it up after that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's nothing. I have been known to hit myself in the face with it, so I'm throwing my arms about doing something, and I think, oh no, that was a daft thing to do. But yeah, I see your point. You know, I mean, I guess if it's a contact sport, it's really difficult to do it in, you know, when there's social distancing. I mean, you know, I might get involved if you can actually hit people. No, that's probably getting into my personality. We shouldn't, you know, encourage. So we talked about. I've got to ask you about your surname because it's fantastic. Ramalingam. Where does it come from originally?
Well, originally I think it's southern Indian, but my parents are from Mauritius, and I guess probably 3 generations prior to that from India. So yeah, the exact origin's a little bit cloudy because we or the family, I should say, came to Mauritius from India, and the documentation unfortunately isn't that great. So you know, they came over to help the British actually with kind of plantations and all that kind of thing, you know, many hundreds of years ago. And sometimes when they come over, I'm guessing potentially because the English wasn't great, you know, they put all kinds of things down really. So it's a little bit grey. I'm still working on that one. Genetics or DNA testing actually helps a little bit with that. So I'm starting to pick up some of the pieces.
Okay.
But what kind of that's kind of where it comes from.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great name. And I think one of the things with business is you need to stand out. And a name like that stands out. It's not Smith, you know. I think it's important that, you know, you have to have something that people go, oh, I mean, my surname, Chatterley. Yeah, I've heard all the jokes that there are. And actually, it's an age thing because, you know, Lady Chatterley's lover, for any of you who are watching this and going, I don't understand, you know, Google it. It wasn't allowed on the shelves of bookshelves till I think 1968. And there was a court case that went with that. So, but some people of my age know it. And then Sean Bean did a version of it. So there's another generation that know it. And then there's another generation that know nothing. So if I say Chatterley, I've heard all the jokes, I can tell from the response what age they are. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for your time. This has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed spending some time with you. What's the rest of your day? You don't actually go out and do the caring for people?
I used to. I don't do so much nowadays. I was just talking to my wife about it the other day. There's a particular client actually that I haven't seen in a long while, but no, I haven't done so for a little while now. So, yeah, as I said earlier on, my son's not been great today, so he's at home with me today. So I'm gonna spend a couple of hours with him. Probably watch a film this afternoon if I can get something kind of tidied up.
Excellent. And I suppose the thing is then we need to make sure that we finish so that, because he's been a good lad and he's not come in while we've been doing this. So let me just remind people, if you could watch this to the end so you don't mess with the algorithms, and then if you can subscribe, comment, like, and just basically tell your friends about it. If you find it useful, that's fantastic. If you don't, then tell me, because otherwise we'll keep doing it. And I'm always into feedback. I may ignore it, but I probably won't. So thank you for your time, Niven. And for everybody, have a great day, whatever you're doing. and look after yourselves.